So, unlike what you may think, this isn't just a random wood. This is near where I live. Anyway, today's video I'm going to be speaking about my expectations, my thoughts, and I guess my goals for 2020 and racing, because I'm still very aware. I'm very new to this. I haven't got much experience. I want to set some realistic expectations for myself, so I can look back at this video at the end of the year and see whether I have achieved these or not. Now, I don't know whether I'll achieve all of these, but I'd like to achieve at least a couple of them. So that's why I've made this video here today. So it's 5 things, or 5 goals I've got for the end of 2020 in motorsport. So, we've got the trusty phone. That's where all the information for this video is going to come from. So, the first point is, or the first thing I want to achieve this year is just a bit more consistency. So, I look back to the Brands Hatch races in the Saxo and testing, qualifying, the race. Testing, I was quite happy with. I mean, I got into the 59s. I think that was about a second and a half of what Chris does on his ultimate pace in that car. So I was quite happy with that, considering I'd only had about 30 minutes in the car. That was quite good. Qualifying, kind of a write-off. It was damp conditions. Qualify for the race, just do a certain amount of laps, and then I can get it to the race, and then it goes on from there, because I knew Chris was going to be quicker in qualifying anyway, so I just didn't go crazy. Then we get to the race, and that's probably where I'm most disappointed in myself, really. Like, looking back at it, is I know it was my first race, I know I shouldn't have any expectations, but the fact that I knew I could get into the 59s on the Friday, and the fact that I didn't really get that close to getting into the 59s on the Sunday kind of annoyed me, considering the conditions were somewhat comparable. I know it had rained in the morning, so maybe there was a bit less grip, I don't know, but I mean, yeah, I was probably about a second and a half slower in the race on my best time than I was in my fastest time in practice. Some of that probably was the conditions, but some of that was definitely the nerves, I guess the anxiety of getting out on track, and just the worry. So, getting back to the main point here, which is consistency, I want to make sure that my lap times are sort of within half a second of each other each and every lap, especially around Brands Hatch, because it's a short circuit. I mean, I look at my lap times in the race, I think I got possibly into the 1 minute, or maybe it was in the 1:01, so yeah, quite far off what I'd done on the Friday. But you know, my lap times at the start of the race were like a couple of seconds slower, so they were it was yo-yoing a bit at the start of the race, and by the end of my stint it sort of plateaued out, and I was pretty consistent. But that consistency is so important in longer races, and as we're going to be doing longer races this year, I need to make sure I'm consistent. So that's the big thing, is maybe on longer tracks I'm looking at maybe each lap being within a second of each other, especially in traffic. Then obviously there's a bit more variance that can be put in there, but on shorter tracks in sprint races, the lap times really need to be around half a second of each other each and every lap. Otherwise, you know, that's a lot of my time lost there just not being consistent, and it's something that you can learn. So by the end of this year, I want to look back at, you know, a good majority of or maybe half the races, and say, yeah, I was nice and consistent in those, and yeah, I'll be happy with myself, especially towards the end of the year. I'm still a bit all over the place towards the end of the year. I'll be a bit disappointed in myself, but you know, I've got my fingers crossed. I'm going to be working with some great people this year, so I'm hoping that consistency will just come with all that. So the big thing that everyone sort of speaks about in motorsport is their glory, and you know, getting onto the podium, winning races. So it's kind of I mean, obviously we won our first race, I won my first race, and does that set unrealistic expectations? Slightly. I'm going to always look back on that first race as it didn't really mean too much in terms of getting the podium. It was just doing the experience. The reason why I say that is because there were 3 cars in our class. One of them crashed out on the first lap of the race, and the other one, we managed to beat. So I always, it really doesn't really matter to me about the amount of podiums. If I do get any this year, it's just whether if I put in good performances. So I want to put in some good performances myself. I know that not every race is going to be a touring car-esque performance. I know I'm not going to be, oh look, there's that guy racing that Honda Civic. He should come and race in British touring cars with us. I know it's not going to be like that. I know that we're just going to hopefully be having fun and putting in hopefully some good performances myself. I'd love to get a podium. I don't know whether that's really realistic in this first year. Learning this car, going into championships with bigger classes, I'm not sure whether that's really reasonable for me to say that I want to get on the podium this year, but that would be that'd be like the dream this year, to get on the podium at least one point. That would be really good, especially in bigger classes, because as I said, it kind of didn't mean so much because there was only basically 2 cars in our class after the first lap of the race. So that's what I'd like. I'd love to get a podium, but the main thing is for me putting in good performances and being proud of at the end of the day, being proud of what I've done, or at least being happy with what I've done. I don't need to be thinking, oh, that was fantastic, I was the best driver out there. I know that's not going to happen. I'm very realistic in myself, hopefully, that I know that I'm not going to be winning races. I know that I'm not going to be on the podium, most likely. So I just want to be happy with my performances. And at the end of the day, as long as that's the case, then hopefully it's going to be, a happy year. So I'm going to set one sort of big goal for myself this year, in terms of lap time. This is going to be it. So I think that the Honda Civic is probably the second fastest car I've driven. I'm not going to really count the Formula Ford because I was just sort of doing a shakedown with it. I wasn't going quickly. Fantastic experience, but I'm not going to really count it as the quickest car I've driven because I did not push it at all. The BMW is probably slightly quicker than the Honda Civic, or they're pretty comparable. So if I look at the time I did in that BMW, I was quite happy with myself at the time. I got into the mid 58s, which I think's fine. I know Sam could probably get a 56 at some point, but still, I was happy with myself. That's the main thing at that point. But we're going to be doing a lot more testing. I mean, I did 2 test sessions in Sam's car, and obviously didn't do anything in the race. I think that hopefully with a bit more experience this year in a car that I'm going to drive hopefully a lot more than I did the BMW, my aim is to get that Honda Civic into the 57s at Brands Hatch. Now, for me, that's a big ask, I'd say, considering I'm a rookie. I have very little experience in motorsport. To get into the 57s at Brands Hatch is quite a big ask for me. Now, I look at the championship that this car would have been racing in last year, and the top guys are getting it into the 55. So if you equate it like that, I mean, I'd say Sam, if you put him in this car around Brands Hatch, I think he could pretty easily get it into the 55s after a couple of hours practice. So I don't know. To me, that's a big goal, to get into the 57s. I've never driven a 57 around Brands Hatch. This car is definitely capable of it. It's just whether I'm capable of it this year. But that would be a big aim for me this year. With a lot more experience in the car, I hope that I can do that. I'd probably be a little bit disappointed in myself if I didn't get to that point. But the fact that I got a 58 in Sam's car, this is relatively similar. I should have a lot more experience in this car. I'm really hoping that will be the case. So, yeah, I'm going to say 57, whatever. It could be a 57.9. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's towards the middle part of the 57s. But, yeah, that's an aim for me, is to get the Civic into the 57s. And for the record, I know it can go 2 seconds quicker than that. I know it can get into the 55s. But I don't know whether I can do that in my first year especially. So, that's a big aim. Fingers crossed I can do that. But, yeah, in terms of a lap time goal for this year, Brands Hatch is probably the only track I can really put a number on. But that's what I'm going to say. Hopefully I can get into the 57s at some point this year around Brands Hatch. Please. Number 4, a clear improvement. Now, as I said, I'm going to this year quite little experience. I haven't driven a race car of any sorts in 7 or 8 months. So by the time I get into the car, it'll be nearly a whole year since I'd last driven a race car. That was the Saxo. I did like a little bit of a test session with Chris and Marcus sort of May, June last year. So yeah, it will nearly be a year by the time I get into my car and do some testing due to budget reasons. So yeah, I want to see a clear improvement from the first few test sessions in that, in terms of what I see at the end of the year. If there's no clear improvement, I'll honestly be quite disappointed in myself, because I feel like I can learn. I feel like in a lot of things I've done over the last few years, I've been able to learn quite well. But this is obviously quite different to a lot of things. I mean, like video production, which you guys know that is basically what I did at uni and now what I do as a job. I'm picking up things all the time. I'm still learning. So I know that's been like a year. So still lots of stuff to improve on there. I still know that. But in terms of the car thing as well, I mean, I've got a lot less experience in this. So fingers crossed this will be a nice sort of upward trajectory this year. Obviously working with a few people as well that I've met through last year. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with some people in terms of YouTube guys this year as well. So I'll confirm a schedule at some point, because I'm really happy to bring on board some YouTube guys that I've known for a very long time, and some not so long, but still people I know really well and that are really great. So I'm looking forward to working with them on this. I guess it's kind of like a project in a way, and this journey, and nice to bring them in. So that's going to be really good, but for me, I want to see that clear improvement. So we're going to be doing some pre-season tests, and then we'll be doing obviously racing from May through to probably October, November. So it's going to be hard to do a comparison. Maybe I can do the first or second sort of test session at Brands Hatch. I can take a lap time from there, and then I can see what I do at the end of the year. But yeah, I guess that kind of coincides with the lap time thing at Brands Hatch as well. They kind of mesh together, so hopefully the clear improvement. I mean, I'm quite likely to be lapping in the 1 minutes, maybe the 59s if I'm lucky in the first couple of test sessions. So if we can see that clear improvement over the year, I'd absolutely love that. But yeah, maybe I'll organise a test at the end of the year and we can do that. Next up, and lastly, out of my 5 here, is having fun. So that's so important to me, because I've been a bit up and down over the last sort of 6 or 7 months, and I really want this to be a great way to have fun. Lots of things go on in my head, and sometimes it makes me happy, sometimes I feel sad, and hopefully this is going to be something that can really make me look forward to something and come out of it with a smile on my face. So that's the main thing really out of this journey for me, actually, is to have fun and to chill out in some weird way that motorsport is now chilling out, because I don't know, I put so much pressure on myself for absolutely everything I do, because I know that I've got so much to learn on every area of my life, and I just want to get better at everything. I know realistically that's not possible. You can't be great at everything, but in my head I've got to be for some reason. So fingers crossed, I just enjoy this year. I take it as it comes and just have a good time. Yeah, obviously there are big worries this year. You look at it financially, what could happen with the car. There are so many variables in motorsport, it's hard not to worry about it if you're like myself. But hopefully once we get out on track and get testing, hopefully a few of those at least will sort of be cleared from my mind, and I can just, hopefully just enjoy this. So yeah, for me, that's the main thing. Have fun, and have a good year, and hopefully won't be so up and down by the end of this year. Hopefully it will just be going up or plateauing at good. That's the main thing. So I've spoke long enough in this video, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. I've sort of got a few things off my chest and put it out there for me to look back at this at the end of the year, and I'll be proud of myself if I can do a couple of these things. I mean, like I said, the glory is getting onto the podium. Whether that's possible or not, I don't know. I'd love to step on the podium at some point this year. I don't know whether it's really realistic, but fingers crossed. Let's just see what happens. Let's take it as it comes. But yeah, consistency, improving, that lap time around Brands Hatch, and having fun. There's quite a few things I want to tick off this year. I mean, hopefully all of them. I mean, fingers crossed all of them. But it's going to be a long year, and fingers crossed to tick off some of them. So yes, that's it for this one. Thank you for tuning in. Actually, one thing before I go is, I think I mentioned in the last video, I really want to get involved, or you guys involved with this journey as well. So I think, speaking with sponsors and a few other things, I'd really like to give you guys the opportunity to come and sort of do some hot laps with me in the car at certain points throughout the year. Maybe not super early on, maybe the first couple of test sessions I give to myself just to learn the car, and with other people letting them learn the car. But once I'm a bit more confident in the car and just it all comes a bit more naturally, then I'd really like to give you guys the opportunity to come on board, go around, do some fast laps around Brands Hatch, Donington, or wherever I am in this car, and that'd be really good. And any other ways you guys can think of getting involved with this journey with me, that'd be great, because at the end of the day, I'm making these videos for me, but also for you at the same time, because I want to share them with you and hopefully document this whole journey. And yeah, hopefully this is a point I can look back on at the end of the year and be kind of happy with, because I achieved maybe some of these things. Also maybe free tickets or something at some point. I haven't got well, I've already said I haven't really got a budget. I haven't got yet, considering the sponsor stuff aren't ticked off. But maybe once some of those are ticked off, we'll see. But it's going to be quite tight budgets, whatever happens this year. I mean, basically, if I get sponsors, I can do more races. If I don't get sponsors, I'm going to have a very restricted schedule this year. But yeah, I guess I'm just going to give it my all this year. Take a financial hit, but hopefully enjoy it. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all around. It's Blanks. I'm out of here. It's been a long time since I did that, actually. I'll just say goodbye. Goodbye.